Hello everyone, welcome back to another DIY gym equipment video. My name's Kyle, and this week we're gonna make a seal row bench attachment for your power rack. What are seal rows? They're rows that you perform while laying horizontal. The word seal comes from the tendency of the lifter to kick their legs up while they're doing the lift. There are many benefits to doing seal rows, but the main benefit is full activation of the lats while putting little to no pressure on the lower back. There are lots of options for purchasing a standalone seal row bench, but they tend to be pretty pricey and take up a lot of space. That's why this is such a great build. The materials cost me about 30 bucks because I already had a lot of this stuff laying around. If you're starting from scratch and buying all the materials new, it'll cost you around $80 to $90. The total size is 48 by 12 by 7 inches and it weighs just under 25 pounds. When I'm not using it, it conveniently fits behind my functional trainer. It's a pretty versatile piece of equipment. In addition to seal rows, I've also used it as an adjustable height plyo box. It works great for hip thrusts, box squats, body weight reverse hypers, split squats. It's the perfect support for my preacher pad, dumbbell step-ups, GHD sit-ups, and I can use it to turn my gym into a home office. Okay, enough chit-chat, let's build this thing.
Safety first. Wear a dust mask. Wear eye protection. Wear hearing protection. DIY projects are awesome, but being safe is even more awesome.
I won't be providing a cut list for this project. All the dimensions will be based on your power rack, but I'll show you how to get the dimensions that you need to build this. The full list of tools and materials that I use is located in the description of this video. As a bonus, if you purchase from any of those links, it goes towards helping to support this channel. I start off by cutting my 2x12. You'll want to measure the distance to the outside of each safety. For me, it's 48 inches. I'm using a sliding miter saw, but you can also use a circular saw for this. Next, I find a piece of scrap 2x4 and cut it to two 10-inch pieces. When in use, I want to secure this to my safeties using hitch pins. I hold a 2x4 up to my safety and mark one of the holes with a pencil. When drilling, I stack them and clamp them so the holes are identical. These holes will allow me to attach to my safety spotter arms using hitch pins. By the way, if you're watching this and thinking it's a lot of work or you don't want to invest in the tools to build this, that's okay too. Rogue actually sells something very similar. It's called the Monster Utility Seat and it is solid as a rock. I have a link to it in the description of this video. In terms of placing your 2x4s, they'll go on the insides of the safeties. You can place your 2x12 on the safeties and mark it that way, or just measure the safeties. I'll be attaching the 2x4s to the 2x12 using 3-inch lag screws. I use 1 1/8 inch Forstner bit and drill about 1/2 inch deep. This will make sure the lag screws sit flush. Once those are drilled, I take a smaller bit and drill all the way through the center. After clamping the 2x4 in place, I add lag screws and washers, and this part is done. At this point, you can call it a day. It works as a seal row bench perfectly. I'd like to make mine a little more comfortable to use. I'll be adding a removable pad to the top. If you're new to upholstery, don't let this scare you off. I only learned recently and I'm definitely not a pro, but it's really not that bad. If that still didn't convince you, you can try using a yoga mat or just use a face pillow like this guy. These long rip cuts are much easier with a table saw, but can also be done with a circular saw or even a jigsaw. I lay the 2x12 on top of the plywood so I can mark and drill my holes. These holes don't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but it helps if you think you may want to remove the pad at some point. I clamp my pieces together before drilling the holes. I'll be using 1/4 inch bolts to attach these pieces, so I use a 3/8 inch Forstner bit to give myself a little extra room. You want to at least go deep enough to hit the plywood underneath. Flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Once I'm through the 2x12, I move it and drill the rest of the way through the plywood. I'm using prolonged T-nuts to secure the bolts for the pad. These just hammer in, super easy. I flip the plywood over and lay the 2x12 over the top. You'll want to make sure the holes line up before you move on to the next step. Mine line up perfectly. It's time to add the padding. I'm using 1 inch thick foam. If you want more padding, you can go thicker or just double up. The foam will go on the same side as the T-nuts. I spray some adhesive down before placing the foam. My foam is not quite long enough, but that's an easy fix. I can use a scrap piece to fill in the missing part. The material I use to cover the foam is some sort of fake vinyl. I got a large roll for pretty cheap on Amazon. You'll want an excess of about 2.5 inches on each side. After cutting the material, I'm ready to staple it. The trick to using the stapler is that you need to have the right staples and the proper amount of pressure. I'm using 1/2 inch staples because my plywood is 1/2 inch. The staple gun is powerful, so I turn the pressure down pretty low. You should make sure to test the pressure before starting this step. Once that is set, you just lay the fabric down and staple. Be careful not to staple your fingers. Corners are tricky, and I still haven't figured out how to make them look good, but as long as the staples hold the fabric down, it's fine. I spray paint the 2x12 piece black before attaching the pad. I don't bother spraying the part that'll be covered by the pad. This next part is super easy as long as your holes line up properly. Once the bolts are secure, this thing is good to go. You can do seal rows with dumbbells, you can do them with straight bars or even a curl bar, but I prefer to use a camber bar because of the extra range of motion they allow. I currently have 2 camber bars, Bells of Steel's Arch Nemesis Swiss bar and the Titan Multi-Grip camber bar. Both cost around $200 and are great to have around the home gym. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.